So lots of makers, entrepreneurs, developers, it starts like, okay, I have a great idea and now I need to go build it or learn how to build it or find someone to build it. So if we take the one of the common paths about learning how to build it, or just going to a coding boot camp, this is what the journey looks like. Hold my tea and go 3 months full time and all these wonderful acronyms and technologies. And by that time, perhaps your idea may have been just waiting and turned into a skeleton. Now, there are alternate pathways, of course. Lots of people are familiar. No code is not something new. Some of us may actually remember this. I'm a bit old now, I've started to realize. uh, 97. Now, then WordPress came along and pretty much revolutionized a lot of the web. There is a reason, I think it powers more than 50% of the web. I may be wrong, don't quote me on that, but it's really a big giant in all the websites out there, e-commerce, lots of different things. And more recently, other players like Wix, Squarespace, they just came along. It's like, okay, make stuff even better, even faster, even cleaner looking. And what's next? This is what we're going to be talking about. Okay, what's next? Now, let's take a step back and think about what is a web application. Ignore the JavaScript, HTML, CSS, those types of things. Let's talk about it. Okay, I want some data. I want it to look a certain way. I want to design that. And I have some logic. This is how it all works together. Whatever I do. So even this Google Sheets, you guys are looking, I'm clicking here and some data is being fetched from Google servers. There's some logic, and then I see something on the web browser. So the no-code journey looks a bit different. So you can hold your tea, depending on what you're doing and what platform you're doing, hours, days, weeks, and you can just start fundamentally, because the technical barrier is going away. If this pie chart, design, data, logic, was still hidden behind all this. It's not like we didn't need design, data, logic. We still needed design, data, logic. We just had a large layer of other technologies, software programming, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, lots of that. So keeping that concept in mind, design, data, and logic, what I actually wanted to do was to make a live demo, but I'm a bit shy, so I cheated. So I've prepared one already. So this is what you see in the Bubble editor. Bubble as a platform, why I like it is because it combines all three. Design, data, logic, you can do all three in Bubble. There are platforms that do some or one as a specialist platform, but Bubble combines all three. And let me show you what it looks like. So if I go to bubble.io, sign up, create an app, I'll appear somewhere in this editor. Okay, so the first tab is the design tab, and I can just drag and drop various things, input elements, uh, drop down, search box. Most people are familiar with drag and drop design tools. And at first glance, it may look like this is it. It's just simple. It's like Figma or whatever. But it's not really. All three components, design, data, logic. So if I want to go create a database, I'll just go to the data tab. I have my own custom data type, waitlist. I can add a custom field to it. Okay, let's do a brief exercise here. Let's add a last name. Okay, uh, last name, last name, last name, and first name. Okay, so I just changed my design a bit. I'll switch to the data tab. I need another field in my waitlist. I'm gonna add last name here. It's gonna be of a type text. So my database has changed a bit. And now back to logic. So logic is in the workflow tab. So on this button, start and edit workflow, I've already placed a few actions, but I've added another field here. So what's the first action here? create a new waitlist entry in the database. Okay, so I need to add the last name here, input last name's value, and that's it. So I added a bit of design, I added a bit of logic, I added a bit of data, and these two are just like I added a send email. Okay, hi, thank you for registering. We'll be in touch. So this is a very basic register your interest waiting list type sign up form. Now, the key part here, let's click the preview button. This is live. So you can basically just go. If I paste this in the chat, where did the chat go? I'm struggling to see the chat. Can somebody paste this link in the chat? It's amazingapp99.bubbleapps.io/version dash test. Okay. You guys can just go use it. Just add your details, register your interest. You'll see a thank you alert. And in the database, uh, here's the data. It's all my waitlist entries are just coming through here. These are two test instances I added, but my name is here, my last name is here. Now, so keep that theme in mind. Design data logic. I didn't need to learn, but a little secret about myself. Uh, I don't really like JavaScript, to be honest, or HTML or CSS. So this might feel strange that, okay, why am I making web apps here? That's because no code, fundamentally. Bubble as a platform also gives us like various things, domain, general, different upgrade plans, all sorts of things. I can keep talking about Bubble all day long. There's a huge ecosystem here. And one of the terms I'll use to describe Bubble is it's the WordPress for web apps. So similar to how WordPress came along and moved things aside, Bubble is doing that and just moving. A lot of apps are being built in it. Now, okay, what if my app is more like design logic heavy or design data heavy? Not really, doesn't really fit Bubbles. So there's a whole ecosystem out here. If you it's like Webflow. Adalo is good for mobile apps. Which one do I pick? Airtable, something for data heavy. Zapier to connect things. Lot big giants like Amazon and Google are making things platforms as well. I think Amazon ones is called Honeydew, Honeycomb, something like that. There's basically a whole ecosystem. Glide is great for throwing quick demo types, mobile apps, spreadsheet powered apps. There's basically a whole ecosystem out here. Uh, and it turns into a no code stack overall that, okay, my app doesn't really need to be powered by HTML. Well, it is underneath the hood. It's still powered by the same HTML, JavaScript, CSS, all these technologies and all these programming languages. But with no code, you're just working at a higher level. So a concept in software engineering and programming. Okay, we have different levels of languages. So at the very low level, assembly language. Uh, a bit above that, C, C++. A bit above that, Python and higher level languages. Okay, now take it even a step further. We're talking about platform as a service, no code platforms, and you can just host your entire application on top of these platforms. Bubble's here in the middle that combines design, data, and logic. There are a few others like Thunkable and a few Betty blocks are also combining design, data, logic, but most platforms will combine two of them. All right. So if you're convinced by now, where do you go from here? A couple of links, makerpad.co, nocodefounders.com, a very active Slack community. Makerpad, I think, was recently acquired by Zapier for I don't know how much. Bubble specific resources, of course, bubble.io, their forum, boot camps. So coding boot camps would take 3 months full time. Bubble.io boot camp. I've taught a boot camp. I'm an instructor. David's next. He's an instructor. These boot camps are like 8 weeks, and the first session's 3 hours and 2 hours each week. And at the end of a session, I've seen people. What was my first cohort? So there was an accountant, there was a French student from somewhere. I think she was studying arts. There was another person in France, and there was, I'm struggling to remember. A guy ran a podcast audio editing thing. They were definitely not developers. And at the end, they could just start making their ideas. I'm not saying they were able to go to production all the way after 8 weeks. They had busy lives, but they could realize their ideas. But yeah, there's lots of self-taught courses and tutorials out there, and you can pick it up very quickly as well. So that's it from my side.